Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fumble Sports Daily Betting Show. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is Friday. We are so excited about the action that's going to go down today. A full slate of MLB, an NBA playoff game, and an NHL playoff game that hopefully won't go into 4 overtimes. But obviously we could talk about that at another time. Let's get into what we're going to go in through today. We're going to cover all your bets. If you want to talk DFS, we're also here for it. So daily fantasy baseball. If you want to talk about any of the playoff games, we're here for it. But Fumble Sports is here to help you out with all your betting, all your sports, fantasy sports and everything else. But this is what we need from you guys. We have a series of our best bets that we have prepared before the show every single day. So, in order for us to give those out to you guys, we do it one of two ways. Either you hit that like button. Every time we hit a 2,000 like benchmark, we'll give out one of our picks. Or if you help us out with our live goal, every time we get some confetti, we will give out one of our picks. And let me just say, today is a good day to ask us about our picks, certainly based on how we did last night, how we've been going about our research, looking at trends, doing everything else has been successful so far. And yesterday was absolutely not just no exception, but actually really was a standout day for us. You can see we did really well, not just on our overall bets, but really in our long shot plays of the day. I hope you were with us yesterday. I hope you tailed us on a few of our long shots. We crushed it. We went 4 for 5. Not only did Shohei Ohtani hit a home run during our show, so we got to celebrate that, but we had Aaron Judge go yard, Bo Bichette go yard, and even Nolan Arenado did it again. So make sure you guys are following us today. We will give out long shot bets of the day. In case any of those are wondering how we did yesterday, here were our overall results. 14-8, so around 64%, really good percentage. We missed on all our MLB plays. Funny enough, we've been doing really well on MLB over the course of the season, but yesterday was a miss. Did well on our MLB player prop bets, and we're not including, by the way, the long ball, long shot of the day in that overall score. So you could tack on the 4 for 5. That really should be 4 for 5, not 4 for 1. So let's go 4, 4, 5. And that said, we're going to, again, hand out more of those long ball, long shots of the day. So make sure you're with us. Make sure you're joining us. And, of course, make sure you're hitting that like button. Hit us up with some confetti. And, of course, make sure you subscribe. If you're watching on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, make sure you're following us. Make sure you subscribe. That way you know every time we're live. We have a 2-hour show ahead of us. A lot to get to. So if you're watching on Instagram Live and you want to see the research that we're about to do right in front of everybody, go to our YouTube channel, Fumble Sports. You can watch the entire show and watch all the research that we're about to throw up on the screen. To everybody else, appreciate you joining us. Hope you're having a wonderful day watching on TikTok Live and on YouTube. We're going to throw our results down into the graveyard because that's yesterday's news. We have picks to give out today. And of course, we'll get to all of your research. We are going to prioritize those who are helping us out with our live goal and everything else, but that goes without saying. Up. And we are all loaded up and ready for action. Let's get at it. Okay, first question of the day. First of all, Deadpool, great to see you. Lakers, not really surprised, actually. If you watched our show yesterday, what did I say? I thought Nuggets were going to win. I thought the Lakers were going to cover. One of the bets we actually talked about yesterday is I took the Lakers at 7.5. I know they covered the original 5.5, but I wasn't sweating the end of that game like everyone else was. One of the reasons I told you, get on both sides of the fence. Both tickets could cash. It ended up working out. We didn't hit on the over. There was more defense in that game. LeBron James missing some layups certainly hurt us. But that said, we hit on the 2 game picks when it came to Denver Nuggets winning and the Lakers covering. We loved our plays on that one. Deadpool, will we be doing a live on future bets with the NFL? Yes, we will, actually. I'm glad you brought that up. Deadpool brings up, we will do next Tuesday night. So we have an NFL show every Tuesday on TikTok Live and on YouTube. During that show, we are going to go through every NFL team and give out their win totals over under for the entire NFL calendar schedule, every NFL team. So Deadpool 84, for all those who want to hear our future picks on the NFL, we will be doing that Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. 7 p.m. on Tuesday. So for all of those who want to hear our future plays on the NFL, we will be doing that Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. With the schedule out, we've had time to digest it now over the last 2 weeks, and we are ready to reveal over-under win totals, as well as some other prop bets that we've been looking at. One of the reasons we waited the extra week. So join us Tuesday night at 7. We will do NFL then, Deadpool. Appreciate all of those joining us. Make sure you're hitting that like button, and of course, make sure you help us out with our live goal or give a gift. I'm obviously going to see those who do that sooner, so Deadpool shows up for that reason immediately. IP Shade 45, welcome to the show. Great to see you. Drew, again, we will get to the Cowboys on Tuesday night. Don't worry, there will be plenty of Cowboys hate or love depending on which side of the fence you're on. And for those who are watching on YouTube, make sure you throw your comments in the chat. We have someone standing by who shares those with me, so we can absolutely follow all of those along. One Big Deal 22, you're asking about the Braves, Padres, and Royals on the money line today. One Big Deal 22 coming out hot with a lot of MLB money line questions. Let's dive into it. Big slate of MLB today. First game on the docket that you're asking about is you're asking about the Braves first. Let's go to the Braves first. They're going up against the Seattle Mariners. Interesting pitching matchup in this one. Bryce Elder, who's actually pitched very well this year for the Atlanta Braves, on the bump for them. Meanwhile, on the other side, Bryce Miller, who again, really incredible ERA through just 19 innings. So expecting a low-scoring game in this one. I do like Bryce Elder a little bit more of an experienced pitcher. I like the fact that 1.94 ERA is coming off of 46 innings pitched as opposed to 19 innings pitched. That certainly makes a difference in my opinion of what he's been able to do. Also, looking at strongest trends, the Braves are 14-5 at home, off a win over their last 19. Certainly a reason, One Big Deal 22, to lean towards them just slightly. I do like the Braves on the money line in this one, leaning just slightly towards them. Going to the next game that you brought up, I believe it was the Padres. And that Padres game is against the Red Sox. I'm definitely going to tease some things about this one. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you help us out with our live goal. I have a home run pick for this game that I assure you, you do not want to miss. So make sure you're hitting us up with that live goal. Padres are 1-4 as a favorite over their last 5 games. Interesting trend. Padres have not played as well this year as certainly their payroll would suggest they would. They've had their struggles. Blake Snell on the bump, you can see it perfectly personified in his win-loss record. Blake Snell should not be 1-5. I know he has a 4.61 ERA, but you would assume through this point in the season that he would have 2 wins. The fact that he doesn't should be concerning for Padre fans because he's someone not just you're committing money to, but he's kind of one of the pitchers who needs to rack up wins over the course of the season if you're going to keep pace with the Dodgers. Looking on the other side, the Red Sox have James Paxton on the mound, making his second start for the Red Sox. He obviously battled back from injury, had that great start last week against the Seattle Mariners. Pitched much better than I think a lot of people expected. Did give up a home run or two, but that said, pitched better again than many expected. I don't expect that necessarily to be the case tonight. I'm going to avoid this game from a betting standpoint. I'm not crazy about it. I really don't know what I'm getting from James Paxton still. It's one of the reasons I'm hesitating on it. So for that reason, I'm avoiding this game from a game pick standpoint, but I'm certainly interested from this game from a player prop bet standpoint. We'll get to that once we hit one of our benchmarks, either the confetti or our live goal over the course of the show, because this is definitely one I'm going to circle back to. Just to complete the thought on One Big Deal 22's question about the Braves, Padres, and Royals on the money line, we've covered the first 2. By the way, thank you, IP Shade 45. You always come through. You're our favorite, that's for sure. We will absolutely give out a pick in just 1 second. By the way, that actually gives me the option. While I'm giving out this last pick for One Big Deal 22 on the Royals, IP Shade 45, throw in the chat what kind of pick you would like. Would you like an MLB player prop bet? Would you like a long ball, long shot play? Would you like an NBA play? Let us know, IP Shade 45, what you'd like to pay off you helping us out with our live goal with that confetti. While you do that and while you make up your mind, IP Shade 45, We're going to look at the Royals really quickly. We're going to look at the Royals quickly. And if the Royals are a good money line play, we've gone through this parlay so far for one big deal 22. Looking at the Royals against the White Sox, initially, one trend stands out. Royals are 9-23 off a win over their last 32 games. So certainly the trend not with you in that regard. Looking at the starting pitchers, Michael Kopech. Remember when he was traded to the White Sox for Chris Sale in that deal with Yoan Moncada? Really hasn't developed quite like I thought he would. A 1.4 record, a 5.74 ERA. This is the time in his career that he should be starting to come into his own, and really hasn't. Disappointing. Meanwhile, Zach Greinke, 1-4 record, 5 ERA, but he's on the back end of his career. You see what his stats were against the White Sox in a start earlier this year. I guess the ERA is a tick down, and that's something to keep note of, but certainly not inspiring enough. I do look at how the White Sox hitters have done against Greinke over the course of their career. Yasmani Grandal stands out to me. He's obviously had a lot of plate appearances against him. Tim Anderson as well. Andrew Vaughn. So there are enough hitters in this lineup where I wouldn't lean into the Royals in this game. One big deal 22. What I would look is actually a couple of these player prop bets on the White Sox. I think there's an opportunity, given that their sample size is large enough for me to have confidence in what they can deliver against Greinke. I would actually look towards that if I'm going to look towards this game at all. Okay, one big deal 22. Send those props for the game since we there. Okay, I'll give you that prop bet then. It's actually a long ball, long shot play of the day for that Padres-Red Sox game. And it may not surprise a lot of you. The storyline in this one is going to be Xander Bogaerts going up against the Red Sox for the first time. I believe it's the only meeting between the two teams during the regular season. And therefore, I really like Xander Bogaerts today. I'm going to take a long ball, long shot on him. He's going up against James Paxton, who he actually has really good numbers against in his career. Looking up his stats last night against James Paxton, Xander Bogaerts, forgive me, I'm just pulling him up. Xander Bogaerts has 23 at-bats, 7 hits. That's good for a 304 average. And in those 7 hits, Bogaerts has 3 home runs against him, as well as 2 doubles, 6 RBIs, 1 walk, and 4 Ks. So the fact that Bogaerts already has a home run against James Paxton, he already has 3 home runs in his career against Paxton, that gives me enough inspiration, as well as the idea that Xander Bogaerts is out for blood against the Boston Red Sox, who didn't commit to him. So our first long ball, long shot of the day is going to be Xander Bogaerts. Again, this is one of those picks, I say take it with a grain of salt. We did go 4 for 5 on them yesterday. So what I would say, when I mean a grain of salt, maybe put down half a unit since you're going to get plus money on it. But Xander Bogaerts to hit a home run, we're giving that out at plus 650. Plus 650. I know it's not a game that has good weather when it comes to home runs. If we go to our Ballpark Pal website, Boston, San Diego is lower down here when it comes to home runs. So yes, I'm taking a bit of a standout play here with the Red Sox and the Padres, but I'm also going to double down on this, and this is something that we started to do yesterday. If we really liked one of these players on the long ball, long shots of the day, I then double backed and I went towards finding them in player prop bets. So one of the things I'm going to do now is I'll go to Xander Bogaerts. I want to look up what his hits, runs, and RBIs are tonight. Over 1.5. I really like that play. Again, I like him against James Paxton. He has really good stats against him. Also, it's the Red Sox. Xander Bogaerts has been one of the most consistent players for the Padres throughout the season. So again, I'm going to add this to our other favorite bets of the day. This is an in-show research bet, so we put our asterisk next to it just so you guys know the difference. Xander Bogaerts over. I want to get the font on this up so you guys can see it. Xander Bogaerts over 1.5 hits, plus runs, plus RBIs. We're getting that at pretty good odds, actually. We're getting that at minus 115. Love that play. Again, good stats against James Paxton. He's out for blood. Love the incentive for Xander Bogaerts. He's been consistent in his play. That's one of the plays we're going with tonight. Candyman, great to see you. Candyman, if you don't mind, help us out with our live goal of confetti or get us to 2,000 likes. because what you just hit on, Candyman, is exactly what I want to talk about tonight. I'd love to dive into that and add it to our big board. So Candyman, hit us up with some confetti or help us with our live goal. Let's get up to 2,000 likes, because what Candyman is hitting on, I absolutely want to touch on. By the way, or IP Shade 45 just comes through and absolutely delivers. Okay, IP Shade 45 doing the heavy lifting. Love it. Want to make sure I give out this other play of the day. This is another one of my favorites. And IP Shade 45, you're awesome. We want to double down on this one. And again, Candyman kind of touched on it a moment ago. Ryan Mountcastle. Ryan Mountcastle is playing. The Baltimore Orioles are playing the Toronto Blue Jays today. Kikuchi is on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays. In his career, Ryan Mountcastle against Kikuchi, 9 at-bats, 4 hits. 3 of the 4 hits have been home runs, and the other hit was a double. So all 4 of his hits against Kikuchi have been extra base hits. 3 have been home runs, and in the 9 at-bats, he's only had 2 strikeouts. I love the ratio of home runs to extra base hits. I mean, that's a no-brainer for me. So long ball, long shots of the day. We're actually going to add on Ryan Mountcastle to this group as well. Ryan Mountcastle to hit a home run today. And again, for all of those watching, when I say we're separating our favorite picks of the day from the long ball, long shots of the day, those are dinger plays, guys to hit a home run. Consider put half a unit on that. Don't put a full unit like we do the other bets, because obviously there's a bit more risk built in. So lessen the amount of risk you take with the money you could lose. You'll still get a good payout given the odds. And one more time, we did really well yesterday. Went 4 for 5, so we're feeling ourselves a little bit. Hopefully we can back that up today. Ryan Mountcastle, we're going at plus 450, plus 450. And this is a research play that we did before the show, so no asterisk for this one. But we are going to go with Ryan Mountcastle. Let me make sure I pull up the bet correctly. Where is it? Here it is. Ryan Mountcastle over 1.5 hits, plus runs, plus RBIs. And you can tell we're kind of doubling down on this notion that we're going to get a hitter. If he hits the home run, great. We cash both bets, and we're willing to take that chance given his history. So thank you so much, IP Shade, for hooking us up, delivering that gift, so we were able to give out another one of our picks. That answers your question, Candyman. Yes, we love both of those plays, so I would double down on both. I'd put a full unit on the over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for Ryan Mountcastle. I'd put a half unit down on the home run play. Love what I'm getting out of that. And again, a unit to you could be a different amount, but you want to measure how much you're risking given the bet and what it can return. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. Follow IP Shade 45's example. Hit us up with some confetti. As you can tell, we love giving out our picks. Stephen Pock is asking about Vegas Knights, 1.5 on the puck line tonight. I wouldn't take them on the puck line. I like them on the money line tonight, but I wouldn't take them on the puck line, Stephen. But that's just me. I'm not crazy about any hockey play where it's a minus 1.5. Top Dog, what's happening? Top Dog, if you have a question up on YouTube, along with anyone else watching on YouTube, make sure you throw those questions in the chat. More than happy to give all of those out throughout the show. And of course, yeah, the Orioles hurt us yesterday, Mr. Chubbs. Tough game in that one, but at least the Panthers came through in every possible way on that puck line play. I really like taking the underdog on the puck line. I'm not as into taking the favorite in hockey on the puck line. You're really banking on that pulled goalies, second goal late. I don't feel like the way the tension of the playoffs really allows for that, especially as we get later into the playoffs in hockey. That said, if any of you are watching on Instagram Live and you want to see us do our research right in front of you, and that way you can follow along with everybody else, go hit the link and go to our YouTube channel, Fumble Sports, and you can watch the show right in front of you. By the way, yeah, that Dodgers game was so brutal, IP Shade 45. Not only did we took the Dodgers on the money line, so at first we were like, oh, this game's over, the Cardinals are up by, 8 runs, and we kind of put it off to the side completely. And then, obviously, they came storming back which just created the illusion that maybe, just maybe, we were going to get the Dodgers on the win. And then what happens? Like, Wilson Contreras hits another home run. It ends up being a 16-8 game. So it was the ultimate tease of like, oh, we might actually cash this. Oh, wait, no, we won't. So that said, that actually is another one of our favorite bets of the day. And we have actually hit over 2,000 likes because you guys are just the best. So I want to make sure I give out another one of our favorite picks of the day. And that's going to be that Dodgers game. That Dodgers-Cardinals game, I saw a really interesting stat on Twitter about this. It's something like the Cardinals are 0-15 straight up after they score something like over 15 runs in the previous game. That's not where I originally took this next pick from, but I saw it and it was such a validator. It really confirmed what I was thinking. But actually, I'm going to take the Dodgers-Cardinals under 9 runs. We'll look up the odds in just a second, but I want to share the trends with you as to why I'm going in that direction. The under is 4-1 in the Dodgers' last 5 games versus a left-handed starter. The under is 6-1 in the Cardinals' last 6 versus a team with a winning percentage above 600. The only time that didn't happen was obviously yesterday. The under is 5-0 in the Dodgers' last 5 games with a total set between 9 and 10.5. And the Dodgers have Tony Gonsolin on the mound today. Gonsolin this year, 1.42 ERA, only 2 home runs allowed, and opponents have a batting average of 174. Really like Gonsolin on the mound, but I'm not going to take the Dodgers on the money line, though I do like them. I'm going to go with the over. I'm going to go with the under. Forgive me. And I want to make sure we're putting up the odds correctly up here, so let's go the Dodgers. This is saying 8.5. I liked it at the 9 where I originally took it. Let's see if we can get it. Yeah, under 9, minus 120. I'm not going to play around with the 8.5. I don't care about the hook. I'm going to go with the under 9 at minus 120. That is another one of our favorite bets of the day, giving that out because we hit 2,000 likes. By the way, keep your eye on the Cardinals. I feel like they're about to go on a run. There are a couple teams so far this year who got off to a bit of a slow start, but in reality, they're really good teams. They just got out of the box a bit slow. Look out for the Cardinals. They're absolutely a good team. They just got off to a bad 2-month start. If I were to bet on a team from this moment on to the end of the season, who I would take their win total over from this moment on, I would say the Cardinals will probably have more wins than what we would expect, given what we've seen in the first half of the year. So don't let the trends suck you in. I know baseball is so good when it comes to analytics and stats, and you want to follow trends, but you got to be wary because teams like the Cardinals, maybe a bad start isn't actually an indication of how they're going to play throughout the year. Look at the Pirates. They've come back to the pack. I expect the Cardinals to kind of come back in the other direction and emerge as one of the better teams in that division. With that said, if any of you guys have any questions, make sure you throw them in the chat. Any thoughts on the Diamondbacks game? Candyman hit us up with some confetti. Thank you so much, Candyman. Candyman, what would you like us to give you a pick on? Since you made the gift, let us know what you want us to give a pick on. An NBA player prop bet, an MLB game pick, an NBA game pick, an MLB, a prop bet from any of the games. Let us know, Candyman, what you'd like us to focus on since you're the one who gave us that confetti. Want to make sure I pay off the gift. As we wait for Candyman to let us know what they'd like us to focus on, Poon Shark 3, that's a name you won't forget. Poon Shark 3 is asking about the Red Sox today. I'm not crazy about the Red Sox today. If I'm being honest, I would actually avoid that game for a number of reasons, and let me tell you why. Again, James Paxton, I don't know what I'm getting in his second start. So he had a good first start against the Seattle Mariners. He was at Fenway Park. Maybe the conditions were just right, but I don't know what I'm getting from him, so I'm going to avoid that game altogether. I mentioned I like Xander Bogaerts in a player prop bet earlier, but I would avoid that one. Okay, Candyman's letting us know what he wants us to focus on. So Jimmy Butler, over 6.5 rebounds. We'll focus on that one first, and then we'll get to your Marcus Smart 5.5 assists. That Marcus Smart 5.5 assists would have hit in the first quarter of Game 1. We'll start with Jimmy Butler first. You're asking about, let's go to the NBA. You're asking about rebounds, so let's look at Jimmy Butler and rebounds first. and you're asking about over 6.5 rebounds for Jimmy Butler. The implied probability on Butler over 6.5 rebounds is only at 47%. The over at 5.5 is at 62%. So if you're willing to take it at slightly lesser odds, Candyman, I would advise the 5.5. That said, this didn't hit in game one, which was interesting because Jimmy Butler, because maybe he played more of a point guard role, I almost feel like he was actually not as involved in rebounds in game one as I expected. Like you, I expected him to do better on the rebounds in game one. And so now I'm kind of curious, are they going to treat him, the Heat that is, are they going to treat him like a point guard, have him in the outlet position, have him not in the paint banging bodies, and actually have him as kind of the outletter that is actually leading the offense into the other half of the court? I'm curious. I would take the over on this just based off of the trends over the playoffs. Obviously, 6 out of the last 8 games this has hit. So Candyman, I do like Jimmy Butler over 5.5 rebounds. That is, I don't like the 6.5. The 6.5 I don't feel good about because once I move this to 6.5, first of all, now I'm at the plus money. The 6.5 has failed to hit in 12 of his last 18 games. So that trend, that really stands out to me. I'm blocking it with my head, unfortunately. Jimmy Butler has failed to exceed 6.5 rebounds in 12 of his last 18 games. I don't like the 6.5. I like the 5.5. I know you're getting it at the minus money if you take it at the 5.5. I don't care. I'd rather have a cash ticket than try and chase something that's not a good trend. So Candyman, that answers your first question. We'll get to your second question tonight, and that is Marcus Smart, 5.5 assists. Marcus Smart, 5.5 assists. Let's go to assists. And let's go to Marcus Smart. For all those who are watching on TikTok Live and on YouTube, the app you see up on the screen is called Outlier. We're big fans of it. It allows us to get all our data in one place, a lot of trends, a lot of information, and also comparison shop all these different odds. And that way I can find the bet I like. I don't have to get suckered into what a sports book is trying to force me into. I can find the bets I like, and either I place them through these sports books or I wait to maybe see public money if it moves it at all. So anyways, you're asking about Marcus Smart over 5.5 assists. First of all, I like that this is where the minus money is. It's been a hot and cold play. Interesting that this has been such a hot and cold play. It almost suggests the trend is to avoid it tonight. If I go interesting. Now here's a good trend. So we saw it was hit or miss over the last, 10 games or so. But a good trend here, and obviously I'm not showing it correctly, is this is head-to-head against the Miami Heat. So in the last 3 games against the Miami Heat, Marcus Smart has hit over 5.5 assists. I'm not going to put this one on the big board, but I do like this one. I'm going to jot this one down. Marcus Smart over 5.5 assists. By the way, for those who watched yesterday's show, we put down a couple bets on the side. A couple bets on the side. You can't see it because the paper. But a couple bets on the side. Things that you guys recommended where I didn't feel confident enough to put it up on the big board, but I wanted to jot it down just to keep track of how things went. Oh yeah, they went 3-0. So you guys did pretty well on your picks yesterday. Appreciate all those who joined us yesterday. Hopefully you guys are bringing your information to the chat as well. Dan O'Brien, I understand you've been cashing on the A's consistently, but be careful. That might be a good play over 162, but every once in a while, water finds its level, a team wins, green hits on roulette, so be a little bit careful, Dan. You don't want to get suckered into that too much. If you're going to do it, certainly don't double down. Don't start putting larger amounts on it. Be very consistent in your bets. Answering a couple questions that we're getting in. Candyman, first of all, he gets locked up by the Heat, so instead of throwing up shots like the 76ers, he gets rid of it. That's an interesting take. I actually think Marcus Smart, I actually think Marcus Smart looks across the floor at Jimmy Butler and goes, that's how I should be playing. I think when he's just doing reckless, Marcus Smart's hucking up shots, and I agree with you. I don't like when Marcus Smart is a shooter. That's when the Celtics are at their worst. That's when Marcus Smart is at his worst. But when Marcus Smart plays like a poor man's Jimmy Butler, which is I'm a heavy defensive player, I'm a role player, I'm a leader, I'm the bulldog, but I'm also facilitating, getting my teammates involved, going to some of the dirty places on the floor to get rebounds or to open up spaces for shooters. I think that's when Marcus Smart is at his best. I also agree with you in that I think Marcus Smart understands that if they're going to beat the Heat, it has to be a team effort, where the 76ers, they fall apart sometimes as a team. So you just sometimes can step into an open three-pointer. That often isn't the case with the Miami Heat. That's one of the reasons I agree with you. I think Marcus Smart understands he needs to be more of a facilitator. Poon Shark, I'll get to your question in just a bit, but I want to answer some questions that we've gotten in on YouTube. I want to make sure I answer those. Top Dog, you're asking about Zach Gallen over 6.5 strikeouts. Let's go check this one. I will mention I did look this one up prior to the show, and things didn't go quite as I thought, so let's dive into it. So Zach Gallen, over 6.5 strikeouts. It has an implied probability of 6.5, but this is what kept me away from it, Top Dog. Gallen has failed to exceed 6.5 strikeouts in 4 of his last 5 games on the road against an opponent with a winning percentage or a winning record. That stood out to me. Obviously, Arizona has played some dogs early in the year. The Giants aren't a great offense. The Marlins. The Rangers are a good team, but the Royals, the Padres were slumping in April, the Marlins, the Brewers. He really hasn't actually faced a lot of top competition. Now that said, who's he facing tonight? The Pittsburgh Pirates. So I wouldn't call that top competition, but I would keep note that he hasn't been as good against lineups that have performed well over the course of the year. However, the Pirates. We get back to them. Pirates have not been as good of late. Looking at their stats against Gallen, they don't have a huge history, not a big sample size. A couple guys, Brian Reynolds, who's kind of below what you would expect. McCutchen hasn't had an at-bat against them. I'll be interested to see how that goes. But against right-handed hitters this year, this lineup has done pretty well. So the interesting part about this game that stood out to me, actually, I liked Arizona on the money line, but it was more because in the last 16 games between the two teams, the Diamondbacks are 12-4. So I like I'll just give out this pick right now. I'll throw it up on the board. I like the Diamondbacks on the money line. I'm getting them at -170. I do like that because Zach Gallen's on the mound. But the 6.5 strikeouts, I'm not going to touch that one, Top Dog. There are some parts about this bet that don't give me as much confidence. I know this was a consistent play in April. In May, it isn't as hot a trend. In May, it's not as hot a trend. So for that reason, I'm going to avoid it tonight. If you wanted to shift it down to 5.5, you're getting it at terrible odds. You're getting it at -260. So the right place to take it is the 6.5. I just don't have enough confidence. Okay, I do have some breaking news.